Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to WELCA Channel 3, reporting to you live from the Red Sea. Pastor Pete, we're here. It's been an amazing week this week in Egypt. Beginning of the week, some things happened that you would never have expected. First of all, there were 10 plagues, and Moses kept saying to the Pharaoh, "Let my people go," and the Pharaoh, being the Pharaoh, said, "Now I need my slaves." The plagues were flies and gnats and water turning red and frog. Oh boy, were there frogs. But then finally on the last plague, the firstborn being killed by the angel of death, and it passed over the Israelites. The Pharaoh said, "Get out of here, leave," to the Israelites. So Moses and Aaron took the Israelites, packed up real quick. They had some really thin bread to eat, and unleavened and everything, and they left. And they were untouched by the angel coming over them because they had marked their doors with the lamb's blood. And so they left Egypt. And now we're here in the desert, between the desert and the Red Sea. And look here comes Moses, Aaron, and the Israelites. Maybe we'll get an interview with Moses. Moses, come over here. WELCA News, Pastor Pete reporting. Moses, do you have any comment about what's going on?
The Pharaoh is chasing us.
The Pharaoh's chasing you. Why? Look at the camera.
Because the Pharaoh won't let my people go.
He changed his mind again?
Yep.
Oh no, so what are you going to do? You're in the desert next to the Red Sea. I think you're stuck because I hear the Pharaoh's coming after you.
I'm going to lift up my staff and then the water will open. So
the water's going to open. Well, whoa. Look at. Here comes the Pharaoh. Now, you've been hiding because you've been traveling during the day covered by a pillar of cloud, and at night by a pillar of fire that's been leading your way, and you've been able to get here. But look at, I think you're stuck now. Here comes the Pharaoh, so you better start going.
Okay.
Pharaoh, can we have an interview before you go?
Absolutely.
What's going on, Pharaoh?
First of all, it's great to be back on the show. It's always fun being here with you guys. So my plan is to take my 600 guys and get the Israelites because, I'm angry.
Well, you better go because they just crossed the Red Sea on dry land.
What are you talking about, Pastor? This is water, but...
No, what? Dry land, you better go.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to get... Oh!
And the events of the day continued. The Red Sea swallowed up the Pharaoh and his chariots and his 600 men. And Moses, Aaron, and the Israelites escaped to the other side. I don't know. Some amazing things are happening here in the land of Egypt as Israel has been set free. Be sure to join us again. We're going to keep following this news story as it develops throughout the day. And now we turn it back to you, Tracy.
Hi everyone! Welcome to Sunday School for November 1st. Can you believe it is already November and this is our 7th week of virtual Sunday School? Of course, we would rather see you in person each Sunday, but I'm grateful to everyone who watches our videos. Justin, do you know what you were holding?
A staff.
Right, it's called a staff. A real staff is made out of wood and is usually about 6 feet tall. That's much taller than I am. It can be either straight or crooked like this one. In Bible times, do you know who used a staff to work?
Shepherds.
Right, shepherds. How about we act out some ways a staff might be useful to a shepherd? So go ahead and stand up. So a shepherd might lean on a staff during a long walk. Right, just like that. Or they could wave it at an intruding animal that is trying to get to the sheep. Or they could use the hook part of the staff to grab and pull a stray sheep back into the flock. Good. In our Bible story today, we learned about someone who was a shepherd of people. He used a staff, but not for hurting sheep and scaring away animals. His staff was used to do a miracle. So the Israelites were afraid, very afraid. Last week, we learned that God sent Moses and his brother Aaron to tell Pharaoh to set his people free. The Pharaoh let the Israelites go, but now he changed his mind again. The Israelites were trying to escape from Egypt, but they had a problem, a big problem. Ahead of them, the Red Sea shimmered in the sunlight. Behind them, Pharaoh's army was fast approaching. Pharaoh's army wanted to capture the Israelites and return them to Egypt. The Israelites were trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army. Where could they go? In our story, do you remember what happened when Moses lifted up the staff and held it out over the Red Sea?
The water opened.
Right. The sea parted and a dry path appeared through the sea. It was a miracle. What does the word miracle mean? A miracle is when God does something amazing and extraordinary, like parting the Red Sea. What an amazing miracle! God parted the sea, and Moses led the Israelites safely across. Exodus chapter 14, verse 16 says, "But you lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide it, that the Israelites may go into the sea on dry ground." So let's have our helpers here add actions to our Bible verse. But you lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, that the Israelites may go into the sea on dry ground. All right, good. Okay, now let's do a science experiment. Now that's pretty amazing. Ready? Watch this. First, I'm going to pour some water into this glass. Okay. Then I'm going to cover the glass with a piece of paper. Now I'm going to turn the glass upside down while I hold the paper in place. I'm a little nervous. What do you think is going to happen if I let go of the paper?
It's gonna spill.
Okay, let's see. Look, the water stays inside the glass. God can use everything in our world, including air pressure and gravity, to do miracles. With God, nothing is impossible. Do you think we can part water the way Moses did? Probably not, but let's try another experiment and see if we can do something unexpected. You can try this experiment at home with a bowl of water, pepper, and a little bit of dish soap. First, we will pour some water onto our plate or bowl. Okay. Then we will sprinkle some black pepper into the water. I'm going to put a lot in there so that we can see what happens. Okay. Now, when Anthony sticks his finger in the water, what happens? Go ahead, try it. Nothing. Nothing happens, right? Just get some pepper on your finger. All right, now let's have Justin put his finger in the water. What happens now? Wow, when Justin put his finger into the water, the pepper moved to the sides of the bowl. Do you think that Justin performed a miracle like Moses? Well, actually, Justin put a little dish soap on his finger, and that made the pepper move away from his finger. He didn't perform a miracle, but it was still pretty cool. Even though the situation at first looked hopeless, Moses told the people to stand firm. Moses knew that God was with them, and sure enough, Moses was right. Exodus chapter 14, verse 14 says, "The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to keep still." God made a miracle happen that day and saved the Israelites from disaster. Let's watch this video that retells the story.
God's people left Egypt. They marched out into the desert. God did something very special to help them. He sent a tall cloud to guide them during the day. It was very dark in the desert at night, so God changed the cloud to fire. It was like a giant nightlight. Now God's people could travel, some during the day and some at night. Back in Egypt, Pharaoh had changed his mind about letting God's people leave. He sent his army after the Israelites to bring them back. Closer and closer, the army of horses and chariots came. God's people stood right by the Red Sea. There was no way across the water. Pharaoh's soldiers were behind them, and the sea was in front of them. It looked as if they were trapped. Just then, God moved the tall cloud behind his people to hide them from the enemy. The Egyptians couldn't see anything. The cloud made it dark for them, but it gave light to God's people on the other side of the cloud. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea. All night, God pushed back the sea with a strong wind, and the water split to make a dry path to the other side. The Israelites safely reached the other side, but when the Egyptian army tried to use the same path, the water came back together and covered the soldiers. And that was the end of Pharaoh's army.
When Moses lifted his staff and the waters of the Red Sea parted, the Israelites had to decide what to do. Could they trust God to protect them as they walked through the waters? Yes. After they were safely across, Miriam and the Israelites danced and sang for joy. They were so happy that they simply had to celebrate. How would you have shown your excitement after God saved you from Pharaoh's army? What do you think, Justin? How would you have celebrated?
I would have been dancing, throwing a party, and cheering on everybody.
Yeah, how about you, Anthony? What would you have done? Same thing?
Yes.
Yeah, danced and been singing and having a party. We can thank God in happy times and trust God in difficult times, just like the Israelites did in today's story. The Bible story shows us why it is good to have God in charge of taking care of us. As you can see, there are things that God does that nobody else can do, like creating the world and making plants and animals. Our God is very powerful, and God will do anything to take care of us. So what are some things that scare people nowadays? Anthony, what's something that scares you nowadays?
Spiders mostly when they have.
Yeah, spiders, okay. How about you, Justin? What's something that scares you?
The virus, hoping that it would end soon. I'm scared that we don't have a normal December at all.
Yeah,
and I'm scared if social distancing and if the social distancing doesn't end soon, and I'm worried if the vaccination isn't ready till January, because I want it to be ready in November.
Right, yeah, that's something that a lot of people are scared about now. A Bible verse from today's story has something to say to us about fear. Exodus chapter 14, verse 13a says, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm and see the deliverance that the Lord will accomplish for you today." I wonder what the Israelites were thinking when they saw how big the Red Sea was. They might have been excited if they had never seen that much water before, or they might have been afraid when they heard the waves crashing. For today's art project, you'll be able to make a special bottle to remind you of this story. Your bottle will remind you that no matter what, God shows us the way out. So for today's craft, you need an empty water bottle, some water, a funnel, some blue food coloring, and we also have red, and some confetti and other items to put in your bottle. And you also need a little vegetable oil. If you have a sticker label, you can decorate them and put them on the outside of your bottle also. So we're going to use the funnel. We're going to take the tops off of our bottles first. And we're going to use the funnel to fill it halfway. Okay, hold on to the funnel. Halfway with water. Tell me when I'm half. Is that about half?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's do yours. Now about half?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll do mine. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to take some of our confetti and we're going to put that inside. Actually, first we're going to add a few drops of food coloring. So we're going to put some blue Anthony's. Okay. And red in Justin's. Okay. And I'm going to do some blue also.
Yeah, you just mix it.
Okay, now we're going to put a little bit of the confetti inside. So take a little bit of this, both of you, and just drop it in there. And you can put anything you want in here. Okay, and then we're going to fill the bottle the rest of the way, look at this, with the cooking or the vegetable oil. Okay, we're going to leave a little room at the top. You can actually fill it up more than what I'm going to, but I want to make sure I have enough for the boys too. Okay. You put a little oil in yours, and then you can keep putting stuff in there. And then oil. Okay. And then we can put our tops back on. Thank you. And once the lid is on, you'll be able to mix it up and watch as your confetti inside moves around, right? And the colors all mix around. Okay. And you're going to want to fill it up more than I have, but I ran out of oil. So look at these cool bottles. I hope that when you slosh your bottles around, it will remind you of the story of the Red Sea and that God shows us the way out. Today's Bible story had a lot of water in it, so please send me your favorite pictures of water, from a vacation, the ocean, a lake, a stream, through the woods. I'll add your pictures to our bulletin board. Let's close with a prayer. Dear God, you make a way through the tough times. Help us to trust you to lead us every day. We praise you because you are bigger than all the things that scare us. Thank you for using your power to love and protect us. Amen. Thanks for joining us again this week for Virtual Sunday School. See you again next time.
Bye.
Bye.